What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Money and Marriage podcast, where you not only will learn about money,
but you're going to learn about marriage too and how to keep that intact. As long as you keep your money growing, you want to keep your marriage growing too, so you can both stay on the same page.
So today we're going to be talking about just the basic foundations of why keeping money as a topic in your marriage is so important.
Yes, a lot of couples, they run away from this topic. Or sometimes you have the husband who's the breadwinner and the wife is just okay not even knowing about money or how to make money or what's going on in their house with money. But we firmly believe it is very important for you to both stay on the same page with this topic.
Absolutely. I know us going through premarital counseling for a year before we got married, it was a very strategic and just God-led move for us to be able to receive mentorship from our marriage mentors, Montel and Kristen Jordan. And they helped us understand that not only is money the most important thing in marriage from the standpoint of it's the number one reason most people go through divorce, it's important to make sure it's a topic that's talked about before marriage as well as during marriage.
So let me just lighten up the room and let you know, wives, let your shoulders down. You do not have to be tense talking about this conversation. We've had moments in our marriage where there was negative numbers in the bank account. And then we've had moments where God has blessed us. So no matter what level you're at, what season you're in, it's okay. And you really want to encourage these conversations to be happening between you and your spouse.
So many times I remember whenever we were first coming up, I was single, my wife was single. You know, I grew up in a household of divorced parents. And so one of the things I recognized early on was I was taught from my dad per se is, hey, son, make sure you sign a prenuptial. And so when it comes to prenuptial, what I understood from a spiritual standpoint is it's going into a marriage transactionally because now I have an exit strategy in place.
Oof. Say that one again.
It's going into a marriage transactionally because now I have an exit strategy in place.
So those things, prenups and things that you hold on to that you had before marriage that you're not willing to share with your spouse going into marriage, it's something that the world normalizes. Maybe it's not a prenup. Maybe it's something that your parent told you, well, this is yours. This is your savings, or this is yours. But that quote in itself, this is yours, is irrelevant, because whenever you go into marriage, you don't have just yours anymore. What's yours is mine. So if you firmly stand on that word and truly believe that, then you will eliminate those mine, me, or those are your things, and that won't even be a discussion anymore.
Absolutely. And I know for me, like, whenever I started looking at the top wealthiest people on the Forbes list, reported wealthiest people on the Forbes list, I noticed a trend, and a lot of them are married. Right. And so some people may say, well, now, you know, Bill Gates just got a divorce. Jeff Bezos just got a divorce. And hey, I mean, I don't know those guys' situation. Right. But to get to where they were at, they were married. Right. So I really think it's a strategy. It's a hack from the standpoint of, I know for me as a single black man in America, I recognized early on, once I got married, I don't have many distractions, right? I don't have to be out there hunting. I don't have to be in the clubs. I don't have to be traveling to some country to try to holler at some chicks and take up more time, more money. Where, you know, we're brought up in hustle culture these days, where it's like hustle, hustle, grind, grind, hustle, hustle, grind, grind, and then once you get it, now you got to be selective and who you're gonna marry, all that stuff. But you know, I was fortunate enough to meet my wife on the way up. So it's one of those things, guys, that I'm speaking to my guys here, that is so important for you to understand that just because you may have assets and cash flow and income already, right? You're so-called established based on what your current reality is. And now you want to be selective about who you bring in. And don't get me wrong, there are women out there that are just looking for a transactional relationship. Whenever you allow God in your life to help you decide and discern who your wife is going to be, I'm telling you from the jump, all right, when you decide to make that commitment in front of all these people called a wedding, right, not just verbally, but also spiritually, that you all are now one, your bank account becomes one as well. Mm-hmm. So it's important to understand that, because the second you start thinking like, well, I built this is mine. And some of y'all may throw the rocks at me in the comments and be like, well, bro, like you just said, you came up with yours, right? You don't know what it's like to be successful and then end up, having to choose somebody. Look, I don't. I don't, but at the end of the day, God's words and principles still apply no matter the situation.
100%. So God's principles remain no matter what. So you just have to apply those principles, whether you call it the universe principles, God principles, whatever your belief is. We stand on Christianity and God itself. So that's why we're representing him. But whatever it is for you, those principles remain. So let's say you meet somebody whenever you've already quote unquote made it. And what do you do with that girl? Do you continue to bring her into high level conversations? Or do you say, you know what, she wasn't even there for you then. Why would I bring her in now? We firmly believe that you're married now. You grow together. There was a season of our lives whenever we just started having children. And I was like, I will stay home, change the diapers. You go out there, you go to these business conferences and you grow our business. But all that did was tear our marriage apart because he continued to grow to another level that I couldn't even comprehend. So I was discouraging to him with his dreams and with his visions. So if that's you and you finally met somebody and you want to marry them, don't think that you can continue to do what you've used to been doing, like going to conferences by yourself and growing your mindset only. You're going to have to bring them along with you. And it's not that you're dragging them. You're just encouraging them to learn the new knowledge of information that you're learning too. That's going to change both of your lives.
Yeah, I remember this was a gentleman, me and my wife, we were invested in the mastermind together. And one of the gentlemen were talking about how if you're married or you're in a committed relationship, and let's say you're investing in yourself to learn financial literacy, and you're in these different groups, but now you're not bringing your spouse along. Well, unfortunately, like you will start to separate because now the vision that you're seeing is not the one that he or she is seeing because they don't have access to the reality that you are getting access to by being around higher level people from a financial standpoint. So we learned early on from my mentor, Mr. M.L. Billion. He explained to me and my wife, he said, listen here, man, your wife can be your biggest liability or your biggest asset. So I don't care if it's 2 plane tickets. I don't care if it's 2 conference tickets. I don't care if it's more expensive when you don't have it right now to invest in yourself. It is more financially sound down the road to make sure that you're investing in your wife's financial literacy just as much as yours. Because if you paint the vision and you go do this vision and you get mad, one day she gets mad and like, oh man, you left me behind. Man, you don't see what the vision because you don't have the mindset, blah, blah, blah. Now that divorce, depending on what state you're in, 50% of that wealth that you built just by yourself and being cheap now gets cut in half. So
you're gonna pay for it.
So you're gonna pay for it now with double plane tickets and double conference tickets, or are you gonna pay for it with a divorce?
And the great thing is whenever you pay double plane tickets, whatever it is for that conference, it's investments into your marriage because you both come back on fire, you're motivated, you're building your dream together. And it's not only becomes just about you two, but your family legacy. So children, generations after you. So you're building so much more than what you can physically see in the moment.
So whenever I invest in mentorship or she invests in mentorship, we make sure that we are on the calls together because now, obviously, if it's to learn a certain skill set or something like that, like if she's learning a skill set, I'm learning a skill set, that's different. But for overall, like where we want to go in life, she's on every single call because it's so much easier for me as her husband because now I don't have to double back and try to fill in the gaps. And the other thing, too, is she's catching things that I'm not catching, which also helps us in discernment towards what opportunities are for us and what opportunities aren't for us, because I'm a different person, just like she's a different person. We're one spiritually. But if we're operating as one, but you got two set of eyes and two set of brains, it allows you to make better decisions in regards to where you want to go in your life from a family standpoint as well as your marriage.
100%. And the world downplays marriage. It actually is a big thing. So you can expect the enemy to be coming after you in big ways whenever you are married. So the awesome thing about me being on all these calls too is I ain't got to worry about Becky coming in. I don't even know who Becky is, but I don't have to worry about her. And he doesn't have to worry about Jody. If your name's Jody or Becky, we're not throwing shade.
Jody ain't coming into my marriage.
So it just keeps snakes from edging into our marriage. And they have, like, those compromises happen in small ways. So by us staying on the same page, staying in close proximity with meetings and keeping open communication about our finances and about everything that we have going on, it really helps us push back the enemy from getting into our marriage that we want to continue to build on solid foundation.
Because, I learned at a young age, my dad used to tell me, he said, Jody ain't got no job. Jody ain't got no bills. Jody is at your home with your wife, giving her a thrill. And so I learned early on, you want to make sure you don't, you're not, obviously, I'm not micromanaging or all over my wife like that. But what I am saying is that you got to put hedges around your marriage.
Yes, and it helps us walk confident in that. There's no doubt, no negativity, no arguments about Jody. That's why we joke about it. But we hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Money and Marriage Podcast. Stay tuned for more ways on how you can make more money and strengthen your marriage in so many ways. And we hope that you like and share this with your friends.
Take care, guys. See you on the next one.